Right then, this is a tutorial on how to place your very first rural highway. I've got here a simple map. It's got some trees and stuff on it. I've cleared already the place I'm going to be working. You won't need to delete anything, of course, trees wise. You can just plough straight through it. So, let's get north to the top. There we are. Now then, what we need to do to place a rural highway in this gap I've created here. Firstly, we need to go to our transport tools, there we are, and to motorways and ramps. It might be called highways and ramps on yours, depending if you're American or not, I suppose. But anyway, now we're in our highways and ramps. You see here, rural highway, starter pieces, ramp interchange pieces, and other bits. These 5, they are our rural highway. What we need to do first is grab a starter piece. Now I'm creating a motorway here, something that will look kind of British-ish. You can be a little more liberal, I suppose, with the way that you create your highways if you're going for a different country's look. But anyway, now we've got our starter piece. There it is. You see we've got one tile with a couple of arrows on. I can't emphasize enough how vital getting these arrows the right way around is. You notice we've got a white line one side of them and a yellow line the other. The yellow line goes in the middle of our highway, the white line goes on the outside. Now, because I'm British, I'll be driving on the left. If you're not British, or Australian, New Zealand, Japan, or South Africa, you will be driving on the right. So, to do that, to make sure we get our rural highway starter piece the correct way around, hammer your end key a few times. I'm doing it now, you see it's rotating the thing. So we need to rotate this. I'm going to make the eastbound carriageway first. So we've got our yellow line in the middle, white line on the outside. And you press the go button and some road appears. Result, not much road, you don't need a lot, but it's there. Now we've got to do the other side. So take your starter piece, press end a couple of times to rotate it so it's facing the opposite direction. Place it next to it, and suddenly we have a rural highway. Now, what we need to do now, just look there, there's the 2 yellow lines are facing each other. The 2 white lines are on the outside, and you notice there's a hard shoulder there as well. Right, what we need to do now is we need to make our highway a little longer. So what you do is you drag out some rural highway piece and make sure it interacts with the starter piece. You know, you can drag it from the starter piece or into the starter piece, doesn't really matter. But you see it's extending the carriageway on the one side. If I drag it out just by itself, it creates a 2-lane affair. That's what the starter piece does. It tells our road network to be something else. Okay, so let's drag this out a bit. Drag it almost to the edge of your map. Leave 3 squares gap. You see here, 3 squares between the map and your rural highway. I'll explain that in a second. So let's just hammer this through. Pow. Okay, there we go. That'll build away merrily. Now, what we need to do next is we need to make sure our rural highway doesn't get too steep. Now, there's a very good chance, if I just create a hill here, just to demonstrate something, notice how steep that hill is. There's a very good chance that your rural highway will do really dumb things such as that. You know, that's a 45-degree angle our supposedly motorway is going up. by default, the rural highway doesn't have any slope information attached to it in the game files. So what you need to do is you need to grab another network, rail in this case. Rail is the best. Build a railway line. And you need to drag it out next to your highway. What this does is it smooths out the bumps and lumps and all the other nasty bits in the highway itself. So there we go. Our highway is now nice and smooth. If I just demonstrate how it works quickly, I'll create another hill here. Throw a rural highway over the top of it. There we go, see, look at that, it looks daft, doesn't it? Now, if I get my rail line, put it next to it, oh, look at that! Nice and flat, and not as stupid. So once you've done that with your rail line, you can delete it, you don't need it after that. What we need to do now, obviously, is we need to connect it to the neighbouring cities. I'm going to twizzle it around so north's facing upwards again, and zoom into the edge here. You remember I said leave 3 gaps? That's because we need to place a bit of avenue between our highway and map edge. Drag it out so it creates a connection. Would you like to create a connection to SimNation? Yes. And connect your rural highway to your avenue, not with another bit of avenue, but with one-way road. You have to be exceptionally careful here to drag the one-way road the correct way. You see this carriageway, a little arrow here is going this direction, and the other carriageway for me is going this direction. Remember, I'm driving on the left, so I start here, drag across this way with my one-way road, connects the avenue to my rural highway, and same from the other side. This time starting from the rural highway and going in the direction of travel. See, if I drag it the other direction, the arrows will be pointing the wrong way and your rural highway won't work. So that's very, very important. I'll do the same the other side quickly. There we are. Okay. Now we have a basic rural highway. And that's all nice and finished and complete. In the next video I'm going to tell you how to make a junction with it, because obviously there's no point having a highway if there's no way you can get on. So that's the very basics on highway construction, and you should view my next video on how to make a junction.